How you doing this evening? We just had a great weekend. It's hot. They started putting floors in our kitchen today, and so we had to move things around again. And it's like every empty spot in the house has become a black hole, just sucking things into it that happen to enter its gravitational pull. There's light on the horizon for us. The floors are looking beautiful. Ran into a few glitches on the installation, but God has been good, and we're really looking forward to having everything put back together. I was talking to somebody about this whole process today, and they suggested that we call the flooring guy and complain. And I'm sitting there thinking, I thought, well, we got blessings. The guys offered to do a little bit extra work at a really good price and apologized and that sort of thing. But it made me think that, we're kind of in a time where it's really easy to complain. It's really easy to grumble and groan. And because of the nature of the internet and the way we communicate with each other, we've all got smartphones, we've got Facebook pages, we've got Twitter, we've got Instagram. We've just got tons of stuff, tons of ways to complain. It's easy to get people to agree with us, and I think sometimes we think that if we grumble and groan enough and we get enough people to agree with us, well, we must be right. So I think we need to be really careful of that, because it has a tendency to cause us to focus on the negative, focus on the things we don't have, the things that we want, the things that we think we should have. And that goes all the way from material things to immaterial things, rights, privileges, all the debate on the mask and this terrible thing that they're making us do with the mask and so on and so forth. So I want to talk to you about that for just a few minutes tonight. Now, I don't have any tea because we can't find the cups. I'm sure we're going to unearth them at some point. But I've got a little bit of cold water, and join me. And when you get settled, let's spend a few minutes in the book of Numbers. We're going to be in Numbers chapter 11. So, in chapter 11 of Numbers, the people are at Sinai. God has delivered them from the Egyptians. The whole thing with the Red Sea. They get to this mountain. God is speaking from the mountain. They can hear the rumble and the roar and see the lightning flash. Moses up on the mountain, getting the law. They have this party down, and there's some prices to pay for having had that party, but God is just blessing them left and right. Manna is coming out of the sky, and water's coming out of rocks and everything, and they begin to depart from Sinai, and they're out in the wilderness. And so the wilderness is not a very pleasant place to be. And it seems by the time we get to 11:1 that they've forgotten all of the things that God has done for them. And they begin focusing on the things that they don't have, the hardship they're going through. And collectively they begin to sympathize with each other. And maybe in their sympathy they think they're right. And so here's what happens in 11:1. And the people complained in the hearing of the Lord about their misfortunes. And so just think about that. Now, in order to complain about their misfortunes, they had to ignore all of the awesome, miraculous, supernatural things that God had done for them. They were just in his presence at the bottom of the mountain, and now here they are complaining about their misfortunes. And when the Lord heard it, his anger was kindled, and the fire of the Lord burned among them and consumed some outlying parts of the camp. Then the people cried out to Moses, and Moses prayed to the Lord, and the fire died down. So the name of that place was called Taberah, because the fire of the Lord was burning among them. So the idea is that God doesn't bless complainers. We remove ourselves from His protection and His blessing when we complain, when we focus on the things that we don't have, the things that we think we should have. There's no blessing in that. So God's not going to send fire down and burn you up because you complained, but you're certainly not going to receive His blessing. And so the irony about the whole idea of complaining is that when we complain, we get people to agree with us, and so that engenders more complaint. We feed the complaint with all this misinformation that's floating around, and we find the misinformation that appeals to us the most, and we embrace it, and that causes us to complain more. And the more we complain, the less blessing we get, which causes us to complain more. So what we've got to do in order to break that cycle is to settle down and begin looking around us at the blessings that we have. Somebody told me the other day, I think I'm going to leave the United States. Things are so bad here, I'm going to leave. And I said, where are you going to go that's better than here? Where are you going to go that you have the privileges here, the style of living? Now, Kelly and I have had the good fortune to be able to travel outside the country, and we've been to some really fantastic places, but we have never been anywhere as good as the United States. We've never been anywhere that the people don't look at us and go, wow, you're from America. And so that attitude that I'm not happy with what I have here, so I'm going to go somewhere else, is the same attitude that the Hebrews had out in Sinai. Grumble and groan, get more people to grumble and groan, causing more and more grumbling and groaning, and the ones that settle down receive the blessing of the Lord, receive the peace of the Lord. So, when you encounter that article, that posting, somebody says this, somebody says that, I've watched this on the news, that causes you to want to complain, turn that thing off. Turn it off. Settle yourself down for just a minute. Start looking around you and consciously begin counting the things that God has done for you, the blessings that you have, and let your life be focused on the good things that God has done or the bad. We get to choose the good or the bad. God blesses us when we choose the good. And it's hard to garner His blessing when we choose to focus on the bad. I hope that blesses you. I hope that moves in your heart. I hope you have a great night. I love you. I miss you. I'll talk to you tomorrow night.